Loring is a poet and an author of 2 nonfiction books and 2 poetry chapbooks. He has lived in Colorado Springs for the last 20 years and serves on such community organizations like the American Civil Liberties Union, where he serves as the board chair, I believe, the Pikes Peak Justice and Peace Commission, the Green Cities Coalition, and First Step Spirituality Center. He is a real activist in the real sense of the word. He currently serves as president of Poetry West. Please welcome Loring Wirbel.
Hey everybody, I can't be as funny as David either. I'm going to concentrate on short little things and then end with kind of hallucinogenic fever dream or something. But, you know, Dennis was talking about this foundation, this Media Justice Foundation, and it was sticking like this oxymoron thing in my brain because I don't know any media that knows any justice. And, well, no, there's people out there doing be the media, but in general, media and justice don't know each other too well. And so this poem came out of that, and it's called Chattering Class. The intruding voice that makes up in speed what it loses in dumb denial of its own embedded Caucasian male-privileged existence. The insistent voice reminding us of all we fail to be without the accoutrements already bankrupt of substance in a shuttered shopping mall. The synthesized voice and gentle aria of vocoder and autotune assuring the skeptic that a dozen companies, just like narrative science, will allow the computer to write its own investigative scoop. The strident voice enunciating each splatter bleeds, leads, bleeds, leads, until decorum demands a quieter splash of blood. The salacious voice disclosing each betrayal of Potemkin celebrity, knowing the scarce visible YouTube genitals as seen on TMZ will make a better lullaby than leading economic indicators. The whining voice that explains your team is fair and balanced. We do it all for you because we call Colorado home. The clamoring voice of electoral hobbits denouncing each other, my precious, swapping out quadrennial shooting gallery targets while always, always approving this message. The vaguely threatening voice that gladly accepts your smartphone's 3-second video clip, making you the eye reporter and thereby accessory to their crime. The voice become wallpaper that drills a permanent home in your auditory canal, breaking the sudden silence with a film at 11. This poem here is about a many-universe theory of all possible kisses. It's called Pulling Trump, having nothing to do with Donald Trump and everything to do with euchre, bridge, jacks, and other games of chance. Your tongue hikes the ridgeline of her upper incisors, stopping for breath where the intercuspid trail divides wild cherry starburst from trace of tobacco. Mere faith might allow a half-dozen as-ifs to hang 10 on tonsils, the space where all possible kisses madly coexist. But cells coalesce on the epidermal surfaces of particular fingers, intertwined in the size of 2 particular people, and here is the church, and here is the steeple. John tells all Ephesus, pure love casts out fear. The suit is declared. Schrodinger's cat is named the Jack of Spades, which underscores the unsettling fact that this moment is defined in card shark parlance as getting the kiddies off the street. Isn't it rich? Don't you approve? Troops that are caught in midair, troops that can't move. Send in the drones. There ought to be drones. Don't bother, they're here. This poem wishes it was a haiku. It's called Incidental Battle Space. The modern theater of war is by both accident and design, wherever you happen to be. This one, first time or two I read this one, people thought I was just doing sort of a shout out to WikiLeaks and Private First Class Bradley Manning and Julian Assange and all these people. But the real intent of this whole poem was I saw this line of Republicans and Democrats in Congress all lining up to say they're going to make sure that Bradley Manning is either put to death or left in his prison cell for decades on end, because by God, we're going to get him under the Official Espionage Act. And I thought to myself, you know, no one ever asked me if I thought the last 60 or 70 years of American history had any legitimacy whatsoever. And I kept thinking about that yesterday on the streets of Chicago, where I thought the riffraff had a lot more going for them than any of those NATO leaders talking about security strategies for the future. And I remembered the words of the late, great Gil Scott-Heron saying, we all love the godfathers of peace, a piece of Vietnam, a piece of Angola, a piece of Cuba. And so this poem is called The Legitimacy of a Naked Manning. Synonym search in the Merriam put out to pasture. A stolen NATO playbook assumes a dictionary legible to all. No fly in Tobruk, responsibility to protect, assumes I voted a captive parent in the last My Weekly Reader poll. Dangerous toys in the wrong hands, boys in bound hands, assumes I trust my toy chest to the warrant officer hiking nuclear football. Goddess Diana of the 1,000-day epoch of Harvey Milk, leading our blessed prayer of Espionage Act, assumes I have witnessed her halo of fire in a leaked life hereafter. Assange, assignation, assertion, assume, I assume nothing. Myriad miles of copper zinc pipes sprinkling WikiLeaks at each T-joint carry less legitimacy than Bradley's hands testing the slipknot, the 5 centuries of Westphalian honor, nightmare, triumphalism, more transitory than the piss spattered on Manning's toes. And I'm going to conclude with a strange one. This was from about 13 months ago. 2 exonerees from death row were touring southern Colorado and talking about the justice or lack thereof in our prison system, and particularly on death row. And they happened to arrive at a night when Southern Monument was evacuated for a toxic chlorine leak, and Gerard Smith of the band TV on the Radio came to an untimely death. And so this poem was, I had to evoke some cartoon gods. And this poem was for Gerard and for my friend Marianne, but it's also for Elazar Freifeld, who's the editor of an Israeli literary journal, Arsenal, who really believed in this poem. He said, of course it's stupid, it's a cartoon with hope. Don't you dare get rid of it. So this is called Monster Magnet Takes on Catastrophic Death Angels. Marianne knew that all the crap about the surface-sensitive patch clinging to a micro-cracking tank car was solely to justify the BNSF team coming up from Texas and Arkansas, miming in their yellow jumpsuits for the yokels scared to touch the HCL remnants. Make it all sound scientific. They're evacuees, after all. As far as she was concerned, fate hung on Monster Magnet, one of a dozen whammo heroes who could whomp X-Men, Justice League of America with equal abandon and lift up to 20 pounds of steel. But the story doesn't begin here. He is the one who comes after me, the straps of whose sandals I am not worthy to untie. 7 hours before the toxic cloud, Shabaka and Juan are telling us about how to wait to die, how to dream of the master executioner, how to hurt your own hand. It's the toothpaste tube theory of hope, Shabaka said. No matter how flat, you can always squeeze a day's worth of hope from a tube. Index fingers wiggle from eyebrows. Do I look like the devil? I was the only one waiting for the angel of death. Was it the prosecutor? Was it you? Juan sought vengeance on a nurse practitioner stuffed with Red Man chewing tobacco. The Death Row brothers taught me the silly ways of anger. Hey, Puerto Rican Johnny, they would call, learn to read, learn to write, learn to speak English, learn not to hate. And some were Muslim, some Buddhist, some Christian, but I let them condemn when my walking papers came. You will be visited by 2 spirits. Prepare ye the way of Monster Magnet. Reverse 911 calls at 5 a.m. serve as proof that no prophet is accidental. Death angels are common critters on a Maundy Thursday Eve. A pressurized tank on a rusting siding sang an executioner's song in faint hiss. The 250 imitation Sendai Wanderers paying homage to Grace Best dodged this particular bullet with the grace of higher power and Monster Magnet, which is more than one could say for the flamenco guitarist from SUNY's Cookie Mountain. Paid purchase, just as evacuations commenced, and even the Lorentz force of a Monster Magnet had little influence in this matter. The Church of Whammo taught me the grace of cartoons and extra digits. 6 finger, man alive. How did I ever get along with 5? The eulogy of Bullwinkle, the tenebrae of SpongeBob, Disney's Flowers and Trees for a misplaced Gerard. But the story doesn't end here. This day gone flat from one too many evacuations and the shadow of the gallows of your family tree. But a flat tube still holds hope, and Monster Magnet still has pull. A good thing. The second-tier whammos in the bullpen are all nondescript superballs and hacky sacks. And by last count, there seem to be plenty of catastrophic death angels in the neighborhood. If you don't like the look of today's catastrophe, give it 6 hours. Another one will be along shortly. Looks like a job for Monster Magnet. Thanks.